They told you success is something you run after, something you chase, something that stays just out of reach until one day, maybe, you catch it. They were wrong. Success isn't hiding from you. It isn't dangling a reward at the end of a finish line. Success is attracted, not hunted, pulled into your life by the force of who you are. You don't chase success, you become it. You become it when you decide that the life you want is no longer up for negotiation. You become it when your standards rise higher than your excuses. You become it when you stop trying to have more and start choosing to be more. Look around. The world worships results, but it forgets to mention where they come from. They come from identity, from a forged mind, a bulletproof spirit, and a quiet, relentless fire that says, I'm not waiting anymore. Success didn't chase Edison. It found him in a lab after 1,000 failed experiments. It didn't chase Lincoln. It found him after personal tragedy, public failure, and decades of inner war. Success isn't a reward you get. It's a mirror reflection of the person you've decided to become. So ask yourself, have you decided? Or are you still hoping, waiting, wishing? Because as long as success feels like something out there, you'll never hold it. You'll grip harder, grind more, hustle in circles, and still feel like something's missing. But when you change who you are, when you align your thoughts, your energy, your habits, your hunger, you don't have to chase anymore. You attract. The world will try to convince you that you're behind, that others are doing more, winning more, getting more. Let them, because the truth is, most people are sprinting nowhere, running on someone else's timeline, competing in someone else's game. They're chasing a version of success that doesn't even belong to them. But not you. You're not here to chase, you're here to transform. And that transformation starts where no one else can see it, inside. It starts in the stillness of your mind, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. It starts with your thoughts, your vision, your beliefs. That's the foundation. Every great architect knows if the foundation is weak, the structure collapses. If the mind is weak, the results are temporary. Napoleon Hill said it best. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not just repeating affirmations. Belief is discipline in disguise. It's waking up early when no one claps for you. It's choosing growth over comfort, faith over fear, long-term over instant. Belief isn't passive. It's violent in its loyalty to a future only you can see. And that belief, that's where you stop chasing and start becoming. Because belief shapes identity, and identity shapes results. Think about every successful person you admire. They didn't just do different things, they became different people. Steve Jobs didn't chase success, he lived in obsession. Oprah didn't chase fame, she embodied purpose. Dwayne Johnson didn't chase strength, he became it. Day by day, rep by rep, choice by choice. Your habits are just your character in motion. Your character is just your beliefs in motion. And your beliefs? They're the engine behind everything you attract. But don't confuse attraction with ease. This path is not soft. It is not gentle. It's brutal. Because becoming success means killing the parts of you that keep you average. It means saying goodbye to procrastination, to doubt, to the tiny voice that says, I'm not ready. It means burning bridges with your old self so there's no way back. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. But so does regret. So does mediocrity. So does knowing you never became who you could have been. There will come a day, if it hasn't already, where you will have to make a decision to either continue living as the current version of yourself or to begin the war to become something greater. Not tomorrow, not next year. No, because transformation doesn't wait for convenience. It doesn't wait for motivation. It begins with commitment and it ends with a new identity. An identity built not on how you feel, but on what you decide. You decide to rise when it's hard. You decide to lead when you're scared. You decide to act even when there's no applause, That's what separates the average from the legendary. And here's the truth that no one wants to say out loud. Success isn't unfair. It's just demanding. It demands that you outgrow your excuses, that you stop negotiating with fear, that you refuse to let your circumstances define your potential. Hill wrote about definiteness of purpose, a clear, burning desire. But that desire means nothing if it doesn't drive discipline, because without discipline, desire decays. Without action, vision dies in the dark. So build the habits, build the mindset, build the body, build the spirit, not to impress others, but to attract alignment. Because when you are aligned, when your thoughts, your energy, your actions, your words all move in the same direction, success has no choice but to respond. You weren't born to chase breadcrumbs. You weren't designed to settle for scraps of validation or permission slips to go after your dreams. You were built with the same raw material as every great leader, inventor, creator, and empire builder in history. The same fire Edison carried through 10,000 failed light bulbs. The same steel Carnegie used to forge an industry. The same spark that burned in Ford's mind when the world said a horseless carriage was impossible. The difference? They became obsessed with one thing: becoming the kind of person success gravitates toward. Not once, not for a season, but for a lifetime. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They became the condition. And that's your mission now. You want to win? Then stop playing like everyone else. Stop thinking like everyone else. Stop living on autopilot, waiting for someone to crown you worthy. Because the crown isn't given. It's earned by who you become in the shadows. And who you become starts with what you choose to believe right now. Do you believe you're capable of more? Do you believe that success is your birthright, not a gamble, not a lottery, not something reserved for the elite? If not, nothing else will matter. Your mindset is the gatekeeper. Your beliefs are the compass. And if your mind is poisoned by doubt, fear, or envy, don't be surprised when success walks the other way. You must rewire the entire system. No more victim language. No more, I'll try. No more blaming the economy, your past, your parents, your boss, your lack of time. Because while you're busy complaining, someone else with less than you is becoming more than you. And that should light a fire in your soul. You have the power to pivot at any moment, to burn the old script, to reject the identity that's been holding you hostage. You don't need permission to level up. You need conviction. Conviction so deep it can't be rattled by rejection, by criticism, by silence, by failure. Conviction that says, I am the storm. I am the answer. I am the one who decides how this story ends. And that story is written in daily action. Want a six-figure mindset? Then build six-figure habits. Want world-class results? Then make world-class decision 7 when it's inconvenient, boring, or lonely. Because discipline isn't sexy. It's early mornings, it's late nights. It's saying no to short-term pleasure because you've already said yes to long-term greatness. It's working in silence while the world parties in noise. It's reading when others scroll. It's building when others sleep. And make no mistake, the world will try to pull you back. It will whisper, you've done enough. You deserve a break. Take it easy. But remember this, comfort is a liar. It's the enemy of growth, the graveyard of potential. And every time you choose comfort over progress, you're telling your future, you don't matter enough to suffer for. But you're not that person. You are a builder, a warrior, a sculptor of your own mind. You are not chasing success. You are becoming the kind of person who defines it. That's the difference. Anyone can want, anyone can wish, but very few will become. The ones who do, they're the ones who walk alone when necessary. They're the ones who feel fear and act anyway. They're the ones who lose, fall, bleed, and rise sharper than ever. Because becoming success isn't about perfection, it's about resilience. When the doors close, you find another way. When the critics come, you sharpen your focus. When the doubt creeps in, You look in the mirror and say, this is who I am now, and who I am does not quit. That is the real law of attraction. Not sitting on a couch visualizing a better life, but rising every day with the unshakable belief that you were built to create it, and then backing that belief with action so relentless, so consistent, so committed, that the universe has no choice but to respond. You don't wait for blessings. You become the blessing. You don't seek validation. You validate your existence through the impact you create. You don't hope for success to arrive. You rise until you become the person it's been looking for all along. Every great transformation comes with a price. Not money, not connections, not luck, but the kind of price the world can't measure. The price of becoming, because becoming the person who attracts success means shedding everything that doesn't align with greatness. It means losing old identities, old friendships, old habits. It means walking away from the version of yourself that played small just to stay comfortable. And that version will fight to survive. It will whisper, this is who you've always been. It will cling to excuses, cling to fear, cling to the illusion of safety. But your future doesn't have room for who you used to be. If you want to rise, you have to bury the version of you that was okay with mediocrity. You have to let go of the stories that say this is just how life is. Because those stories are lies dressed as logic. Hill warned of these lies, the fear of criticism, the fear of poverty, the fear of failure. He called them the ghosts of fear. And if you let them live in your mind, they will haunt every decision you make. But you don't make decisions from fear anymore. You make them from vision. Vision doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't beg for validation. It sees the future and builds it from nothing. You must hold your vision like a torch in the darkness when no one claps, when no one believes, when even you begin to doubt. Because there will be nights when you question everything. When progress feels invisible, when the grind feels pointless, when it seems like nothing's changing. But those are the exact moments that separate the dreamers from the builders. Anyone can be motivated for a week, but what happens on day 97 when the world is still silent and your goals are still far? That's when success starts listening. Because that's when you prove through grit, through pain, through discipline that you are not chasing a result. You are embodying it. You don't show up for applause. You show up because it's who you are now. That's what it means to become. You begin to speak differently, think differently, move differently. You don't react, you respond. You don't panic, you plan. You don't complain, you create. And people notice, they'll ask, what changed? And you look them in the eyes and say, I did. You stopped making decisions based on how you felt and started making decisions based on who you were becoming. That's the difference between wandering and walking with purpose. Success doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to alignment. And alignment happens when your thoughts, emotions, actions, and habits are all aimed at one outcome, becoming undeniable. Not just to the world, but to yourself. Because when you believe you are worthy, when your daily actions prove it to yourself, you unlock a power greater than any tactic or strategy. You become magnetic. You speak, and people listen. You move, and the world adjusts. You create, and opportunity bends toward you, not because of luck, but because your inner world finally matches the results you were chasing all along. And now, everything shifts. When you walk into a room, you bring energy with you. When you pursue a goal, you no longer hope you expect. Not out of arrogance, but identity. You expect success because you know who you've become to earn it. You've bled for this, sacrificed for this, stayed silent when the world doubted, and kept building anyway. So when it arrives, it's not a surprise, it's a confirmation. You weren't chasing it, you were becoming it the entire time. And now we arrive at the place most never reach, the summit. The moment where the path behind you is littered with old selves, broken patterns, and the noise of a world that tried to keep you small. And you stand there not as someone who got lucky, not as someone who stumbled their way forward, but as someone who earned every inch of this mountain because you didn't wait for success. You didn't chase after it like a mirage. You became the kind of person success could not ignore. And that changed everything. You stopped asking, when will it happen for me? And started declaring, it's happening because of me. You stopped shrinking to fit the comfort of others and started expanding to fit the calling inside of you. You stopped chasing and started leading, because leadership is the final form of transformation. Not titles, not followers, not applause, but the willingness to walk the hard road first, so others might believe it's possible. The people you used to admire, now they're your peers. The fears that used to own you, now they fuel you. The world didn't change, you did. So what now? Now, you carry the torch. Now you look in the mirror and say, this is who I am. A force, a creator, a magnet for excellence. Not because of what you have, but because of what you are. You are the standard. You are the proof. You are the walking, breathing embodiment of a truth that too many have forgotten. You don't chase success, you become it. And when you become it, you don't need to knock on doors. You become the door. You don't beg for opportunity. You create it, shape it, mold it in your hands like a sculptor with fire in their veins. You don't get chosen. You choose yourself every single day. So burn this into your spirit. Success is not a reward for effort. It's a response to alignment. It's a mirror reflecting who you are when no one is watching. It's the echo of every decision you make when quitting would be easier. It's unfiltered, unshaken, undeniable. And when you become that version of yourself, you won't have to chase a thing. Everything you used to chase, it will find you: success, wealth, love, purpose, power, peace. Not because you chased harder, but because you finally became the person worthy of receiving it.